Greetings from Portland, Oregon. My name is Talia, and I'm one of the authors of the book, Psychology and Work. And today I'd like to introduce you to the author team so you can hear a little bit about our thoughts about the book and welcome you to learning about IO psychology.
I'm Donald Trixillo. I'm a professor of psychology at Portland State University in Portland, Oregon. I study issues like job applicant reactions, the aging workforce, and worker stressors and safety.
So I'm Talia Bauer, and I work at Portland State University. I've been teaching here and at other schools for the last 24 years, and so that's one of the primary things I do. But as a college professor, I also do a lot of service, both within the profession, within the university, and within my school. And then finally, really a lot of research. And so as you read the book and think about it, you'll see a lot of that research hopefully coming to life. It's something that I'm passionate about, I love doing, and I think it serves you and your careers to understand what the latest is.
I'm Beren Ardoğan. I am a professor at Portland State University. And when I'm not writing a textbook, I'm writing other things. And I am also a researcher. Specifically, I teach courses at the undergraduate and graduate levels on topics relating to IO psychology. And I also teach, other than Portland State University, I teach at Koç University in Istanbul, Turkey, and American College of Greece in Athens, Greece. So I have some international teaching experience as well. In terms of my research, I conduct IO-related studies in a number of different organizations, ranging from retail to manufacturing to banking, in a number of different countries, including US, Turkey, China, Japan, India, France, and Germany, among others. So what I'm most interested in is understanding the flow of people into and out of organizations. So I try to understand what makes people join an organization, what makes them engaged and motivated at work, and why do they leave if they choose to leave. So those are the things that I do when I'm not writing textbooks.
I started out, like a lot of people do as an undergraduate, really interested in clinical psychology. And then I realized there was this area that looked at people at work. And this is where people spend most of their waking hours when they're adults. And I realized that we could really have an influence on people's lives and also make more organizations more effective. And that's how I got interested really in industrial organizational psychology in the first place. When I was getting out of graduate school, finishing my PhD, I was trying to decide, did I want to become an academic or did I want to be a practitioner? And I ended up going the practitioner route for about 7 years. I did personnel selection work in the public sector, and I really enjoyed it and I got a lot out of it. As I moved further along, though, I wanted to really understand what was going on more in my work, and for that reason, I was drawn more and more back into research. And in the end, after about 7 years, I completely switched to doing academic work and doing research here at Portland State.
So in reflecting on my journey in psychology, I really, as an undergraduate major in psychology, wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to get a graduate degree, but I wasn't sure in what. And I took a lot of classes, kind of neurological, behavioral. What else did I take? Motivational. I took IO psychology. And once I had learned about that field, I knew I had found my match. So it was this beautiful blend of helping people, but at the same time, really seeing the results immediately. And so it was a perfect fit for me, and it was something that I discovered so many years ago, that when the opportunity came to write a textbook about it and expose more students to really what a wonderful area it is, I thought it was a great opportunity we couldn't pass up.
What brought me to this field? I want to say my first job. Believe it or not, as an undergraduate, I did not take very many IO-related courses. So my primary exposure was in the workplace. I worked in the training department of a large bank in Istanbul, Turkey. That was my first job out of college. And I was responsible for designing training programs as well as conducting training programs to teach tellers how to do their jobs. It was an interesting job. It was a very enlightened bank. They were spending an enormous amount of time and energy trying to develop their human resources. And despite that, despite having excellent relationships with my supervisor, despite working in a very supportive work environment, I realized that a lot of people were disengaged and demotivated. And part of the reason was there was a mismatch between how systems were being designed and how they were being implemented in the workplace. So when I decided to take my teaching interests into an academic setting, of course I needed to go back to graduate school, I was looking for a field of study, and this struck me as something that is really meaningful, that is really important to do, because we spend so much our lives at work that making it more meaningful, more engaging, creating systems that are perceived as fair by employees would be a very worthwhile goal. So that ended up being my first area of interest.
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about with this book is that the three of us three authors, have a lot of experience teaching, and I've now been teaching for over 20 years, and I feel like I'm able to figure out what it is that students need to know or are most interested in, and also some of the issues that they may have the most difficulty with. And I wanted to make those very accessible to them. And I think that this textbook really does that. I think we do this through not just the content, which is, I think, most complete, but also through the exercises and the examples that are given in the book that really make a lot of this information real to students.
So when I was first approached about writing a book on IO psychology, it was an exciting thing, but what was extra exciting about this opportunity was that they wanted a book that really integrated technology, that really thought about ways that we could have interactives and have interviews and help bring the story of IO to life. And then having Donald and Baron on the project made it an amazing team effort. We've all worked together doing a lot of research and teaching and service over the years, and to bring all that expertise and excitement to an introductory book to get students as excited as we are was an opportunity I just didn't want to pass up.
We really enjoyed writing this book, and I hope you'll enjoy reading it. We tried to make this a very applied book, so I'm sure you'll find something of value in this, something that's very accessible to you, regardless of your level of work experience. You may have a lot of work experience, you may have none, and despite that, you should be able to find examples that are relatable to you. And we included a ton of company examples, real-world examples, so I think it is a very easy and accessible book to read. In addition, in IO psychology, one of the challenges is finding the right information out there. There's a lot of information, but also there is a lot of misinformation. So one of the things that we're most excited about is this book is extremely evidence-based. So all the information that we included in the book is based on solid field studies, laboratory work, the consensus of the field. So regardless of your career plans, we hope that this book will give you a great introduction to this exciting and fast-growing field.
I think one of the things that's really exciting about IO psychology at this time is that it's one of the highest growth professions in the United States, at least according to the most recent statistics from the Department of Labor. And I think this is because organizations are starting to realize that IO psychology can really have an influence over workplace productivity and even organizational productivity. At the same time, the other thing that's really exciting about this is that this is a great opportunity for IO psychologists to have an influence over a large number of people. Most adults spend most of their waking hours at work, and this is a way for us to actually influence everything from their job satisfaction to their work-life balance to their health or even their life satisfaction.
So when thinking about IO psychology, I think one of the tensions that we have right now in this day and age is the idea of data-driven decisions. The idea of big data. Data's everywhere, it's all around us. And what's the wonderful thing about IO psychology is that we have the tools to help gather, interpret, and really understand those data rather than just letting the numbers speak for themselves. And so as an IO psychologist, you really have an opportunity to bring expertise that everyone is talking about and everyone needs right now in a variety of fields. So if I can encourage people to think about anything, it's really what big data means and what we want from it and how do we interpret and use it for everyday decisions as well as decisions in business, in government, and throughout our lives.
You don't need to be an IO psychologist to benefit from this book and benefit from this course. Your career plans may not be set yet, or you may have a career plan that does not involve IO psychology. It doesn't matter. Whatever your future plans are, you will need to work with other people. You will need to coordinate with them, communicate with them, understand them. So this book has a lot of valuable information for you. So what I would ask you to do is to keep an open mind and see what is in it for me. How can I make use of this material in my career plans, in my job, in my home, in my personal life? So the information that we have is not limited to a future IO psychologist. I would say anybody who is going to work anywhere in the future or right now will find something that is useful for them in this book.
Thank you for taking the time to hear from us a little bit about our background, our thoughts on the book, and we hope you enjoy reading it as much as we enjoyed writing it.